So, I could sit here and make a whole hell of a lot of excuses as to why this series has been so infrequent as of late. I could sit here and say, well, I've been trying on the videos, throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks because we have an extra month of new content to put out before NHL 21 drops. I could sit here and say, well, I'm dating a teacher and we're trying to get our time in together before school starts back up. I could say that too, but really at the end of the day, no excuse I have is good enough. I'm not too happy with the fact that it's been, I think, a week since the last episode of the series came out, and for that I apologize. And for those of you who are, of course, listening to this right now and that have stuck with me, I thank you tremendously for that as we kick off this episode in great fashion with Josh Norris injuring his leg in a 7-2 victory over the Vegas Golden Knights. So again, my apologies. Let's see if we can continue to pick up some steam here again with this series. Now, as you can tell, Josh Norris was our top-line center with Tkachuk and Hall. Shane Pinto has made this team. Now, as much as I'd love to play the Tkachuks together, it doesn't work. You know, Matthew's not a great fit on that first line there, but all in all, I mean, you know, the last episode, we get Larkin, we get Matthew Tkachuk. This team is obviously poised to have some form of success. Now, whether or not we do, I don't know. But what we are going to do here for the moment is swap out Batherson and Brown. We're going to give Drake the opportunity on the top line there for as long as is needed until Norris is back, which will be after this game against the Washington Capitals. So to rejoin where we are right now, because again, it's been a little bit. Trade deadline, we buy. We're going for it. Somehow we're cap compliant for our internal cap, and right now we are battling Montreal, Florida, and Detroit for the second spot in the division, because Lord knows the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to take that top spot as Mark Giordano is available. The Rangers trying to send him down. He was, what, a 79 still? Now, technically, under the cap, I can't claim Giordano. Actually, no, wait. Can we not? I think 9.3 million was the max I could offer somebody. We were still at 76.7, and yeah, there's no way I had $7 million in cap space. So, yeah, unfortunately, as much as I'd love to be able to claim Mark Giordano, he is just far too expensive for my blood. As Nashville beats us 5-3, we play Washington, and we lose 4-2. Not ideal. Josh Norris is back, though. Those back-to-back losses certainly didn't help. So with that, let's get Batherson back down onto the fourth line. And top line, again, we'll get Josh Norris there, and it'll get you guys a look at what this team is. +5, +3, +1. No positives on that fourth line. I can't help but think Logan Brown's time here is done at the end of this season. Once, you know, unless we were to make a coaching change. But it's not working out with him, really. He's not a great fit for this team because he's never going to be a top 6 player for us. Has 1 year left on his deal, so probably his last year here. We know Tyler Toffoli is going to ultimately be a rental, but he doesn't fit in on that second line because if I'm going to play Shane Pinto, as the suggestion was, he needs to be on the second line. So the defense is what you would expect it to be. And, of course, in this scenario, Prosvetov is going to get a good opportunity here. And if he were to lose, Jonas Korpisalo, who, boy, has the opinion of Korpisalo changed since the last time we uploaded the video in this series. Korpisalo is going to get a chance here against Tampa. And if he gets the win, we'll see what happens. If he loses, then Prosvetov certainly gets the backup role here. Huge game against Tampa, and he wins it. So go figure. We start Korpisalo against the Lightning, and he gets the win for us. As Dylan Larkin picks up a slight knock. Good effort there from Korpisalo. So at least we know we have someone else who's reliable. I am going to give Darcy... Actually, you know what? We're going to run with Prosvetov again. And then hopefully Dylan Larkin will be back to 100% before we play Toronto here tomorrow. A lot of games coming at us quickly here. So we pick up an AHL injury. I do need to check Larkin because we can't play him if he's not 100%. And unfortunately, he isn't. So what we will do is take Drake out for Dustin Brown. And again, we'll put Batherson in a more ideal role as a centerman. We won't swap. We will swap him with Colin White, I think. You know, let's go ahead and do that. Let's just make a ton of changes to the center depth and just see what happens. We won't have the best chemistry in the world, but that's okay. So we play the Leafs. Huge chance here for Prosvetov as Larkin is back to 100%, and we lost to the top team in the division in Toronto, which I suppose really isn't that surprising if you think about it. So Dylan Larkin is back in. We take Dustin Brown out for Batherson, and we will make the changes that we have to make. There we go. And then again, goaltending-wise, now Darcy Kemper will get another chance here. We'll see what he can do. He lost his last 2 games that he played. So we have another injury down in the AHL. But we are rapidly approaching the playoffs here. Huge game against the Sabres that we lose. Not great right now. 4 wins in our last 10. We really need a win here against Pittsburgh. Can we get it? No, we can't. So Darcy Kemper has lost his last 4 starts for this team, and we have fallen 5 points back of Montreal. So our shot at home ice is quickly slipping away from us. And honestly, we are going to give Korpisalo the opportunity here in this next game. Perhaps, just out of nowhere becoming, the backup goalie for this team. He beats Washington. We're going to give him another shot here against Colorado. Why not? Can he get another win? That is 3 straight wins for Joonas Korpisalo, which is an incredible turn of events. We're now just 1 point behind Montreal, although they have a game at hand. We have Detroit topped on tiebreaker. We can't afford to slip up here. Big game against the Canucks, and Korpisalo finally loses. We'll start him again here against Arizona. He loses, obviously he'll lose the spot. He gets the win. So Joonas Korpisalo right now going on a run for this team. Fedor Gurdiev goes down to injury in Belleville. A lot of injuries there. Still now, just 1 point back of Montreal. This game right here is going to probably decide who is the 2nd seed, or at least the 2nd place team in the Atlantic. Can we get the win? The answer is yes. A 2-0 shutout victory for Korpisalo. An unbelievable run from the Finn. Who says this game's unrealistic, right? What an amazing run from him. Darcy will get the chance here in this next game. And actually down in the AHL, I want to get Bednar a couple of games. Sjogard's played a ton. Bednar, of course, really hasn't been the backup for the majority of the season with the moves that we've made. But a huge chance here for Kemper if he can get a win against a struggling Flyers team, and he does. So Kemper is going to get a chance here. He's going to get a chance to run with it. We are 3 points clear of Montreal. Darcy loses to Florida, and I think Kemper will start against his former, or Korpisalo will start against the former team, as Mark Borowiecki breaks his nose in a 4-1 win. We wrap up the season against Montreal. There you see, we are back in the postseason regardless, which is tremendous news. But with Mark Borowiecki out, we need to pay attention to that second pairing. Johnny Tyconic is in, and Johnny Tyconic will play. We have him as a 2-way rather than a DFD. We'll have him with Eric Brandstrom. More than likely. No, we won't. We'll have Tyconic with Chabot, Bernard Docker with Eric Brandstrom. So, still looking pretty good there. Tyconic finally steps in. I'd elected to have him as a healthy scratch instead of playing down in the AHL, and we'll see if that pans out for me. As Gurdiev is back, we lose to Columbus. Interesting. 3 points clear of the Habs. As long as we win one of our final 2 games, we are good to go. We are going to give Korpisalo a chance against his former club. Can he get the win that seals us home ice in the first round? The answer is no, but he does get us a pity point. As long as we don't lose in regulation to Montreal, this spot should be ours. But it's a guarantee now that we are playing Montreal in round 1. We just need the team to step up. Of course, we're without Borowiecki for a short time. Lafreniere's out. It's time to find out, though. Are we going to be able to stay ahead of Montreal in what is a playoff preview? First period, good start. I mean, Drouin and Norris offset, Primo in for the Habs. Second period, there we go. Tkachuk and Pinto, and in the third, we hold on 3-1, 41 shots to 15. One of the most dominant performances I've ever seen. And with that, it sets the stage for a first-round matchup against the Habs. But what a way to go for the Sens to again set the stage now for this series. A 93-point season. Every team has played 82 games, so let's take a look at how this season played out. So 42, 31, and 9, not exactly what I was hoping for, but it is good enough to make the postseason. In the Metro, you have Carolina, New York, Columbus, Pittsburgh, and the New York Islanders making it. In the Pacific, it's Edmonton, Anaheim, San Jose, Vancouver, and Arizona. Vegas was terrible. And in the Central, it's Winnipeg, Dallas, and Colorado. So we were in the top 10, I presume? Outside the top 10. Oof. Wow, we were the 13th best team in the league. It certainly changes the outlook when you view it that way. Of course, Toronto, the top team. And then you look at the bottom, Vegas, Calgary, Boston, Minnesota, Washington. Rough times for them. In terms of the offense, worst was Vegas. The top offense in the league belonging to the Carolina Hurricanes. We were somewhere in the middle. Goals against average, the highest was Vegas. The lowest was Pittsburgh. We were in fourth, though. We also averaged 2.9 goals for per game, so somewhere in the middle there. Our power play percentage was not great, somewhere in the middle. Yet again, Tampa, best power play in the league. They missed the playoffs. In terms of a penalty kill, again, our special teams, not exactly a highlight here. Not exactly a highlight. We weren't as good of a team as we probably should have been, especially in terms of point production. These numbers are incredibly disappointing. Only 69 points for our leading scorer in Brady Tkachuk. Taylor Hall, 41 goals, but only 67 points. Matthew Tkachuk finished the season with 57 points. He managed to put up 14 points in 19 games, but was a minus player. Colin White with 55 points, pretty solid for a middle six. Toffoli, 47 points on the season. He managed to pick up 10 points in 19 games. Dylan Larkin, on the other hand, picks up 11 points, just one goal in 18 games for Larkin. So these moves may have backfired. 43 points, 27 goals for Norris, 42 points for Formenton. Lafreniere, of course, only played 54 games. Logan Brown was okay, if not pretty damn good. Batherson was very solid. Dustin Brown, as a member of the Sens, only played 4 games for us with 1 point. So, interesting there. And then Naslund, 13 points in 56 games. Pinto, 10 points. All goals in 18 games. So, I can't say I have the most amount of confidence in this team right now. Of course, Brandstrom looking solid. You see there the amount of games lost amongst this defense. It's tough to overcome injuries like that, for sure. And then goaltending-wise, I mean, Darcy Kemper's going to be our guy, but what a late run there by Korpisalo to probably steal the backup job away from Ivan Prosvetov. So a lot of questions here, and honestly, I think this postseason is going to be huge for us, because if certain guys struggle, I mean, who's to say that we don't, although scoring appears to be down, who's to say we don't flip someone like Matthew Tkachuk right back out of town? But certainly goal scoring a little bit lower than perhaps you would have expected. And then amongst the defense, Adam Fox. Good Lord. Oh, man, you see the amount of shot changes, though. Like, it's insane. For some reason, like, creative players shoot the puck as much as they do. It is a very puzzling phenomenon that happens within franchise mode and almost ruins it in a way. 42 wins for Connor Hellebuck, leading the way there. Save percentage king. Connor Hellebuck likely just won the Vezina. Marc-Andre Fleury ends up back in Pittsburgh and does very, very well as their starter with 8 shutouts. Tyler Wall, his reign has begun for the New York Rangers. Kirill Marchenko likely wins the Calder over Shane Wright and Sasha Pastujov. So not too shabby there. So that does it for the regular season. But the question now is what happens in the postseason. We know that Montreal awaits. Question is whether or not the Sens can find a little bit more postseason success. We're routinely making the playoffs, but we've yet to take that leap to the next level, and I don't know if we will. A lot of question marks surrounding this lineup. Of course, Darcy Kemper, some question marks surrounding him as well. The budget signing, despite being somewhat of a top-notch signing, a lot of question marks here. We're going to see how this team does. I will leave it as is to start things off, but the question is, what do the Habs look like at this stage of the game? Let's see what we're dealing with here. So it is Jonathan Drouin, Nick Suzuki, and Quentin Byfield. Max Domi with Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Paul Byron, and I'll scroll through here so you guys can see the potentials as well. But again, Domi, Kotkaniemi, and Byron. Third line of Ryan Poehling, Jack Hughes, not that one, and Yoel Armia, and a fourth line of Alex Steen, Devin Shore, and Jani Ikonen. Honestly, it's a pretty damn solid, well-rounded forward core. Maybe a little bit of a weakness in Byron in terms of overall, but that doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot. And defensively, it's better than you'd expect. Darnell Nurse and Eric Chernak, Ole Mata alongside Alex Romanoff, David Savard with Shea Weber. The goaltender, Caden Primo, starts over 35-year-old Carey Price with huge injuries to Cole Caulfield and Josh Brooks. So there's that little bit of a weakness in the top six. It explains why Montreal was able to push us as solidly as they did. So the question there, of course, we're without Lafreniere. How long are they without their key players for? We don't have Boro back for another week. Lafreniere is out for another month. And for Montreal, Brooke is out for another month plus. Caulfield will be back in 10 days. At least back to full strength. So both teams with some, glaring holes in the lineup. I would hope that we're able to make the most of this opportunity. I still think we should win this series. The question is whether or not we will. The additions of Larkin and Matthew Tkachuk, is that what this team needed to kind of shuffle things around and boost us up to the next level? Or has really, kind of in a way, the heart and soul of the team drifted a little bit? And are we going to find ourselves really on the outside looking in sooner rather than later? We're going to find out right here and right now. First period of game one, it's a good start for the Sens. Power play goal for Josh Norris. Tyler Toffoli is able to get a goal as well. Of course, that weird trade for Anthony Duclair, forced to hold on to Toffoli. I'll take it. Second period, we add another one. Johnny Tyconic stepping into the lineup for the injured Borowiecki. It's 3-0, and this has been a dream of a start against the Habs here to begin this postseason run. As we do not score on the power play, they do in the immediate aftermath of it. Jesperi Kotkaniemi. As we have just over 8 minutes to go here, at least as I started that sentence. Can we hold on? 2-goal buffer between the two teams in game one. Is it going to overtime? Thank God it's not. Jonathan Drouin gives us a scare, scoring with 1:03 remaining, but it's too little too late. Darcy Kemper makes 24 saves, and the Ottawa Senators take game one in fairly convincing fashion. So a very good start to life in the postseason there as Maxence Gwinnett fractures his jaw. I'm just going to go best lines down in the AHL as they continue to push for the playoffs. And we are going to jump straight into game two. No reason to make any panic changes to this lineup. Let's see what happens here in this second game against Montreal. First period and a much better start for the Habs. Paul Byron, the lone goal. Second period is scoreless, so all of a sudden now it's us who is struggling to get the goals on the board. Until now, Jacob Bernard-Docker on the power play. Colin White, 2-for-1 special, 35 seconds apart. As the Habs waste the power play, and we're now up 2-1. That was going to be one of the major points I made, is that, hey, there's a bit of a difference. We don't, we had more insurance than they did heading into this third period, and it pays off as they waste a power play. Under 5 minutes to go. Can we hold on? The answer is no. Alex Steen ties it up. Game two goes to overtime. Alex Steen sends it there, but can we get the win? I am going to save jumping into the games for elimination scenarios only. So let's see how this goes. Place your bets. Who's going to get the winner? I can only hope that he does not have any blue on his uniform. Let's see how this goes. See, I was going to say the red and white, but, there's red and white on both. Anyway, here we go. Power play chance for the Habs. They waste another one. Can we get the win halfway through OT? Come on now, please. Either of the Tkachuks, Colin White, Taylor Hall. You've been a talisman in the playoffs before. It's looking like we're going to double overtime. Quentin Byfield, with under 2 minutes left, seals the deal. 46 save effort from Caden Primo. And the Habs are right back in this series. A huge opportunity slips through our fingers as Max Lajoie is going to be out for about a month with a wrist sprain. So that is the second member of our defense that falls due to injury. It's going to be very intriguing now to see how the hell we survive that. as Borowiecki is still not at 100%. I mean, it becomes a little bit easier there, but Boro can't play this game. We cannot risk further injury to one of the leaders of this team. So I'm going to look. It's controversial because he wasn't great, but I am going to look at Ilya Lyabushkin as the call-up here. He'll have some chemistry with some members of this team, I hope. And at the very least, I know he should be set up as a defensive defenseman, which is kind of the key there. There you see it. So that keeps the +5 on the third pairing. We'll see how that goes. Aside from that, again, we'll just go best lines down in the AHL. Make a quick change there to get the positive back on that second line. So looking right now, Brady Tkachuk, okay. I mean, it's only 2 games. Taylor Hall without a goal. That second line sucks. That second line sucks. But there's not really too much we can do to change it around. The only move is White for Larkin, which honestly I'm going to do. And then from there, it's kind of a tough call. I guess we'll go Formanton, White, Tkachuk. And then, actually I can play Formanton at center, right? White's probably a better center. Actually, yeah, there we go. Let's go with that change there. But that second line was dangerously quiet. I know it's only 2 games, but let's go ahead and make that change as we head to Montreal. It's Game 3. No Max Lajoie, no Mark Borowiecki, no Alexis Lafreniere. First period, and Drouin, Kotkaniemi, Thompson, and Pinto tie it. Nick Suzuki restores the lead for the Habs. Second period, we had a couple more, but so do they. Domi and Drouin, Brown and Larkin. A couple power play goals in there. We're down 5-4. Heading into the third period, goaltenders need not apply as Brady Tkachuk scores on the power play. We are tied at 5 apiece as we wait to see what the hell is going to happen here. Next goal should win it. We really need to hope that it's us. We go from a bit of a defensive battle to 10 goals combined. Are we destined for overtime for the second game in a row? We are. Let's see if we can get a little bit of revenge. We need to win this one. OT in Game 3. 6-5 the final score. The winners happen to be named the Habs. Short-handed goal for Alex Steen. And the Montreal Canadiens take Game 3 in overtime. And something just feels off about this club right now. All 3 games decided by a goal. We lose the last 2 in overtime. And my confidence in this club is quickly dwindling. Kemper hasn't been great. We look defensively. Tyconic cannot play those first pairing minutes. He simply can't do it. And that other pairing hasn't exactly been great either. So, interesting. I don't really know what the hell we're going to do here. Let's get Bernard Docker and Chabot back together. And we'll go Lyabushkin, Brandstrom, Thompson, Tyconic. Forward-wise, I mean 5-on-5, it's been a bit rough. Taylor Hall has been invisible. Matthew Tkachuk has been awful. Dylan Larkin's been awful. Shane Pinto's been awful. Unfortunately, the moves that we have made have not appeared to spark anything with this team. And because of that, I don't really know what the hell we're going to do. Just 1 point for Hall. What the hell are we going to get, what the hell are we going to do to get out of this? I mean, we know Tkachuk, Larkin, Pinto doesn't work. We've already tried. Tkachuk, Norris, Tkachuk, Formanton, White, Hall, Toffoli, Larkin, Pinto. It's a little bit crazy, and I know we're making a lot of changes, but with the injuries we have, we can't really afford to waste time. Darcy Kuemper gets the chance here in Game 5, or Game 4, excuse me, but if he blows it, he will not get the start in Game 5. We need a win here. First period, goal apiece, Larkin and Drouin. Second period, goal apiece, Byron and Brady Tkachuk. We go to the third. This series has been incredibly close all the way through, but we need to get the better of it here, much like we did in Game 1, as we trade power play chances. Nothing really doing there, as we do take the lead with Matthew Tkachuk scoring on the power play Is that going to be enough to catapult us here to victory? We certainly need to hope so. 20 more shots on the board than what they have. The Habs cannot strike late, and we tie this series up now at 2 games apiece. So again, a 1-goal deficit. Caden Primo standing on his head, but it wasn't enough. We're able to battle back and get the win. And now it's essentially a best of 3 from this point on. Mark Borowiecki, though, is healthy and will be back for the start of this series. Thank God for that. Should probably look to just take Ilya Lyabushkin out of the lineup. Of course, I think, well, Tyconic might actually be out of the lineup here. I want to see how Ilya has done. Of course, with his second chance in the lineup, nope. Ilya Lyabushkin is not the answer. I gotta be honest, nor is Johnny Tyconic. Lassie's been rough. Brandstrom's been okay. Bernard Docker's been our best defenseman. We need to look for a double change out here. Just not sure how I want to do it, but Tyconic and Lyabushkin are both going to be sent down. So it's going to be Phillips, Gleason, or Deneen that gets the bump up. You know what? It's actually not. It's going to be Jonathan Asperat, an undrafted free agent signed by the Sens in real life. And I am, for whatever reason, going to give him an opportunity as our defensive depth is being tested. But we're going to give him one hell of a chance. So Mark Borowiecki is back. And down on that second pairing, Jonathan Asperat is going to slot in here. We're going to see what he can do. We know that we're going to go with Brandstrom and Borowiecki more than likely. To be honest, Lassie Thompson might benefit from being with Borowiecki quite a bit, but we don't get the same +5 effect. So Thompson's been struggling. I can't believe I'm going to do this, but it's for the best. We're going to go with Thompson, Chabot, Borowiecki, Brandstrom, Asperat, and Bernard Docker. We're going to give it a shot. I mean, Thomas Chabot doesn't fit in well with this coach, and it's continuing to affect the team. Alex Formanston still with just 1 point. Taylor Hall without a goal. A lot of our big-time players are letting us down here in a big-time way. We just have to hope it doesn't cost us and that the team, gets a second chance to really kind of turn it around and get something going, but you don't often get that extra time to make an impact in the playoffs. We go to Game 5. Let's see what we can do. On home ice, we desperately need a win. Again, every game been decided by 1 goal. This one's still scoreless through 20 minutes. Second period, no longer scores. Lassie Thompson with the goal. We go to the third, up by 1. The question is, can we hold on here? Can we do what we have to do to get this win? Colin White with some insurance. Josh Norris with some insurance. That should do it, and it does. Eric Brandstrom adds another one on the power play. A wonderful 4-0 victory for your Ottawa Senators. A 21-save shutout for Kemper. Taylor Hall still hasn't scored, but he adds 2 more assists. And we are 1 win away from going back to the second round. Matthew Tkachuk might not be a part of that push, though. It was, an abdominal issue for him, if I actually bothered to read that. So that really does kind of change the outlook here for what we might be able to do. Larkin's putting up points, but he's been awful 5-on-5. So it really does raise the question over what can be done here. And honestly, I think I have an answer. We're going to go. I'm not even worried about player types at this point. Unfortunately, though, that combination there really doesn't work. I was hoping that it would. But the playmaker there really doesn't help it. So we'll go with Brown, Naslund. Pinto will be... God, where the hell are we putting Pinto here? Because we know Chuck Norris Hall doesn't work. But we know Toffoli. Toffoli is not exactly killing it right now. We're going to give Tyler Toffoli a pretty big opportunity here. And I don't really know what we're going to do about this particular line here. What are we going to do? I guess that's the answer. I'm going to go White, Larkin, Pinto, Hall with Batherson and Formanton I know we won, but obviously it's the injury that's forcing a change here. We'll see what happens. You know, we have 2 opportunities to close out this series against the Habs. Obviously, you know, missing Lafreniere really affects this team and changes up the plans. But a lot of these guys, you know, even if they have, you know, years on their contracts, they're playing for jobs right now. We go to the first period of Game 6, and it's a pretty good start. Domi starts off the scoring, but Norris and Pinto get us back into it. It's 2-1. Second period, 2-1 split their way now. Paling and Suzuki. Naslin's able to tie it, though, so we go to the third. Here we go. Tied at 3. Series on the line here for Montreal. Formanton gives us the lead. Now 4-3. Caulfield back in the lineup, gets it shorthanded, but Tkachuk scores on the same power play. Now 5-4. Power play for the Habs goes to waste. Brady Tkachuk scores again on the power play. Unbelievable effort from Brady Tkachuk here. 5 minutes left. The Ottawa Senators are going to bounce the Montreal Canadiens in just 6 games in the first round. I say just 6 games, but a pretty competitive 6 games in the first round. We are on to round 2. And that certainly, I mean, hey, it keeps me in pretty good spirits. Again, I'm having some doubts about some of the players on our team. But at the end of the day, you can't argue with results. And we get the win over a pretty decent Montreal team that kept us, you know, on our toes for the back half of the regular season. So, I mean, you look here, Kemper was okay. He wasn't amazing. Didn't lose in regulation. Chabot ended up, you know, kind of panning out a little bit. But the good thing is, like, Asparat, not a detriment to the team. Lassie Thompson, 3 points, but kind of struggled 5-on-5, or at least on even strength. You know, there are some question marks, but at the end of the day, some big players showed up offensively. You know, Tkachuk, Norris, even Larkin and Matthew Tkachuk were solid. It's just defensively, we were a little bit shaky at times. But for the most part, I mean, that went over about as well as you could have hoped, with the exception of Taylor Hall, shockingly not scoring a single goal in that first round. But with that, let's find out who it's going to be in round number 2. We are moving on. In the next episode, we will be playing the New York Islanders, who I believe pulled off the upset against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I didn't even look. And indeed, they did. The number 1 team in the league is down. The Islanders win the Tavares Bowl. But now we'll see what we can do against them in the second round. Perhaps the least confident I've been in the Sens team, but perhaps our best chance to win. Time will ultimately tell.